Welcome back to the Saucy Picks MMA show. I am your host, Skylar Mother Freaking Lurwill. Excited to be back. Happy to be back. It's been a minute. Been about 2 weeks since I've dropped a YouTube video. Been super busy with work. But man, super excited to be here. We got a really good fight night. Edwards versus Brady. Here we go. O2 Arena in London. It's gonna be awesome. Really, honestly, fairly good fight night card. Um, Last week was good. A little bit of a recap. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. It was a good fight night. We cashed our ladder challenge DFS bet, turned $100 into $300, which was awesome. We move on with that. I didn't post about it, but I'll post about this week's. This week's we're betting $200 to turn it into 600. I'm eyeing a couple different lines. I may pass just overall this week. But we'll see. I haven't decided yet. Where we're so far, we're 5 weeks in now, a little over halfway. I got to be a little more careful. And even if I got to err on the side of caution and miss a week, it's worth it just because we'll salvage that 5 week streak and keep going. But we could be talking some pretty serious money here in a minute. If we cash this week, it turns 200 into 600. And then the week after will be 400 to 1200. Week after that, 800 to 2400. And then 1600 to, I don't know, like 4200. And then I want to say our last bet is 3600 to 10K. So, man, we get some serious money here in a minute. We just got to play our cards right these next couple weeks. We're not going to force any bets. Uh, we're not gonna chase anything. We're just gonna see if the right lines present themselves, and if they do, we're gonna take advantage. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited for sure. But yeah, last weekend didn't make a ton of money. Went up about a unit overall combined and sportsbook betting. This it was a fun night. Still a lot of finishes on that Apex card. Really surprisingly good at Apex card. But let's get right into it. Guram Kutateladze versus Cowie Fernandez. The Georgian Viking is a huge favorite. He's minus 425. And I don't know. That's definitely steep, but he should be the favorite here. I'm gonna pick him to win. Cowie Fernandez, he's got some good striking and he has some BJJ. He's just super green though. He's only 9-2, which Guram is 13-04, but he has a lot more UFC experience. Believe this is Cowie's debut, if I'm not mistaken. Guram, though, the reason I'm going to pick him to win is I think his striking is going to be a little bit better. He's going to have a little bit more power, and on top of that, he's got the wrestling background to really support him there. So for the wrestling aspect, excuse me, for the wrestling aspect of it all, I'm going to go with Guram Kutateladze here. I think he's the better wrestler. I think he's going to go to his wrestling in this fight, just like he did in his last fight, which was who was that against? I believe that was might have been Chris Duncan. No, Jordan Vucenic, who was actually on this card. He went to his wrestling in that fight. Got I want to say 3 takedowns, which was awesome. But yeah, well, he'll be the pick here. For minus 425, I'm gonna steer clear. Maybe you could honestly, I don't I'm gonna steer clear of this fight. There won't be any bets for me on this fight. I hate, you know, most of the lines are not looking good. At least like prop bets inside the distance or even going to the distance, they're just a little bit scary with this fight just because there's so much unknown. But yeah, Calvin Lochran versus Nathan Fletcher. Nathan Fletcher coming in as the slight favorite, minus 160. Lochran lost his last fight to Jay Cadley. I actually bet him in that spot, and unfortunately, he was not able to follow through. I figured his wrestling would be the difference maker in that fight, but it just wasn't. Um, he's going up against a guy here in Nathan Fletcher, who's 9-1, coming off the Ultimate Fighter. Uh, really solid grappling, pretty good striking. I think I see Nathan Fletcher covering Lochran here in all aspects. I think in a straight kickboxing match, Nathan Fletcher is going to be able to out kickbox Lochran. He'll be a little sharper on the feet. He's got some really good kicks, teep kicks, jabs. So at kicking range, striking, I think Fletcher is going to be able to win this. And then On top of that, I think he'll be able to stuff all of Collins' takedown attempts, and if not get takedowns of his own, and probably just outclass Colin on the ground, just because he's not a BJJ guy. He has some wrestling, but his Brazilian jiu-jitsu isn't the best. So for the pick here, I'm going to pick Colin Lochran. Excuse me. For the pick, I'm going to pick Nathan Fletcher. I think he's a better fighter here. Uh, he's really not much younger, but I think he's a better fighter, a little taller, a little bit of a reach advantage. I think he'll be the better striker, and I also think that um, he'll be able to out grapple both defensively and offensively. Colin Lochran. If Colin wants to win this fight, he's got to make it dirty. He's got to go in there, dirty box. Basically foot in the tire kind of boxing for him. There's not really another way I see him winning this fight. Maybe getting a takedown, in 2 rounds and just laying in the guard, or yeah, laying in the guard of Nathan Fletcher and riding out, two rounds to win those rounds. I just don't see it happening. I think Nathan Fletcher is going to be active in his guard. If he does get taken down, be able to get back up. But I think he stuffs takedowns as is. So the pick here is going to be Nathan Fletcher. I don't hate him at minus 160. I think that is I think that's an accurate line. I would probably price him at minus 160 as well. So I don't hate it. Might be a good parlay piece. Could be a close fight though. You never know. Maybe a Nathan Fletcher, or I guess a Colin Lochran. I don't know. I was gonna say plus 3.5, but I don't love it. I really don't. Uh Honestly, just add his money line minus 160. I don't hate it, to be honest with you. I think there's some value there for sure. If it shifts to 150 or under, probably a better line for sure. Yeah, I don't hate it. Sean Bannon versus Puja Tomar. Wow, this is a piss break kind of a fight. You've got low level Sean Bannon versus low level Puja Tomar. You're gonna have the same color flags, orange, white, and green, that are flying. Shauna Bannon is sitting at a minus 185, which is the lowest I've seen it. I've seen her even up to a minus 220, which I think is ridiculous. She probably should be the rightful favorite here, but I think this is going to be a closer fight than most people think. The only issue that I'm seeing with Puja Tomar is she's really a T-Rex. She's got the T-Rex syndrome, as shout out to MMA fortune teller. She's got T-Rex syndrome that he always likes to say. Her reach is only 59 inches, which is super short. Um, or Shauna Bannon has a 65-inch reach, which is fairly large difference. But as far as size go, they're going to be coming in about the same size. There's only a 1 inch difference right there, 5'4" to 5'5". So really, it's going to be similar, which honestly was shocking to me. I thought Puja Tomar was going to be smaller than that. Um, as far as striking goes, they're really both pretty similar in striking. Good kicks, good jabs. When I say good, it's low level, but that's their main things. Shauna Bannon, I think she's gonna have better. She's gonna have some pretty good teep kicks to keep Puja Tomar um, at bay and at range. And honestly, see some wrestling in this fight. I think it's on the side of Shauna Bannon. So with all those things, wrapped into one, I think Shauna Bannon definitely has the edge here. However, I will say I'm eyeing Puja Tomar as an underdog here. I really, really hate betting on MMA fighting. Excuse me, on women's MMA fighting. So I'll definitely look at this fight, but as far as how serious I'll get, it's up in the air. There's going to be better spots. There's going to be spots that I just think are more worth it, even if it's a little chalky. I just really, really hate betting on females, WMMA, just because it's so volatile. Anything could happen. It's just Yeah, it's just too scary. But maybe on this fight, when it comes to like a DFS play, I see it going 3 rounds. Both girls are really high volume. I could see a Shauna Bannon, she's probably going to be more high volume than Puja Tomar. But really, either girl, I want to say Shauna Bannon's line was set as 70.5 significant strikes. The over on that might be a good play. It really might, just because there probably won't be wrestling going on in this fight. It's probably going to be a striking war. It's going to be really close. Both girls are going to have their moments, but there's not going to be the risk of knockouts necessarily, just because they're kind of pillow fisted. Now that I say that, there's going to be a brutal knockout from one of them, but honestly, a Shauna Bannon over on significant strikes is something I'd look on DFS for sure. But for the pick, it's going to be Shauna Bannon. Would not be surprised if Puja pulls it out though, because I did. On top of that, I did think Puja lost her last fight in her UFC debut. But of course, she's an Indian and one of the only three or four Indians in the UFC, so they had to give her the fight. So there you go. But Sean O'Malley's a pick. Moving on, Andre Pulai, Christian Leroy Duncan. So this one, the odds are ridiculous on this. Chris Leroy Duncan I mean, he's good. He's got some good striking. He's relatively low volume, but he's always looking for the finish. He has some good reads. He's long, for the division. I guess Andre Pulaev is going to be actually longer than him, or I guess taller, not necessarily longer. But Chris Leroy Duncan, he's good. He's all right. The issue that I see with Chris Duncan, I'll tell you the issue. Let me just pull this up really quick. And I was looking at this earlier, uh, today or yesterday or something. The issue with Christian Leroy Duncan is you look at his losses and his wins. So, dude comes into the UFC and he beats Dusko Todorovic in some freak injury, knee injury on Dusko's side. Dumb win. Okay. And Dusko isn't all that great of an MMA fighter. He has some good striking, but he's not awesome. Then he loses to Armin Petrosian, which I think is a red flag off the bat. I tend to lean Petrosian in that fight just because of the volume aspect. I think they're similar. Armin's probably a better straight kickboxer, but the volume aspect is relatively the factor in that fight where Armin Petrosian outlanded him. I don't know what the numbers were. I looked at them but forgot what they were. But Armin Petrosian really outstruck the dude. Then he beats Dennis Tululian. Uh, super low level fight. Super low level fight. And then he beats Claudio Ribeiro. Let's see, is that right? That may not be correct. Hang tight. Okay, here we go. I should have had this off the top of my head. Yeah, that's right. He beats Claudio Ribeiro by ground and pound finish. And then he loses to Gregory Rodriguez. So his loss to Gregory Rodriguez, that makes sense. He got wrestled up. But his loss to Armin Petrosian is like, dude, what? You should not be losing to Armin Petrosian if you're some hyped dude like Christian Lee or Duncan is, because he came into the UFC with a lot of hype. Andre Pulaev, a plus 410 underdog here. Mind blowing. That is a huge number. Plus 410 is just ridiculous. I think it should be way closer to pick 'em odds. I would favor Christian Leroy Duncan, slightly minus 150, maybe minus 160 even. But Andre Pulaev is live here. He's a live dog. He's a huge dog, plus 410. I've even seen it up to plus 440 in some places. Dude looked good in his um Dana White's Contender Series. He can take a shot for sure. He was eating some serious shots in there, but he was busting up the face of his opponent. I mean, just busting him up. So I I I really want to pick Andre Pulaev here. I think I have to go with Christian Leroy Duncan as the pick, but the value is hands down on Andre Pulaev's side here. And honestly, I will be putting together, I guess, in Roxy's rock solid picks this week, Andre Pulaev will definitely be one of her underdogs that she chooses from. This is ridiculous. Plus 410 is crazy. Christian Leroy Duncan's coming off a loss. And plus 410, crazy. So, without a doubt, the value is here at that number there. I guess I will pick Christian Leroy Duncan just because he has more UFC experience. But man, I am not shocked if Andre Pulaev pulls this out. I really would not be shocked. So there you have it. And I could see myself getting to this line. It's just too good of a line to pass up. And I think he's very live to win this fight. I really do. It's going to be a really good striking. He's going to have more volume. He's got some power. And if he can just avoid the huge shots from Christian Leroy Duncan, I think he will be able to win this. And even if he eats a few shots, dude has a chin. He really does. So the pick's going to be Chris Duncan, but man, plus 410, I'll probably be getting there. All righty. Marcin Tabora versus Mick Parkland. Um, it's a greasy heavyweight fight per usual. Mick Parkin 10-0. He's a little bit of an underdog. I want to say that's closer to a pick 'em now. Marcin Tabora, he's getting up there in age, 39 years old. coming off the win to Jonata Deniz, where he nearly got knocked out in the first round and then knocked Jonata Deniz out in the second round from ground and pound. I, I feel like I hear a lot of people on the Mick Parkin side here this week, and I can see where they're coming from. The biggest thing you're going to hear is, oh, Mick Parkin trains with Tom Aspinall. Yeah, that's great. That's fine. But Dontel Mays trains with John Jones. I mean, there's just things. I hate that narrative that this person trains with this person. There's so many people that train with these awesome fighters, and they're just not awesome like those awesome fighters. Mick Parkin, I think, is gonna get fraud checked here. I hesitate a little bit because he is good. He's good, got good boxing. Relatively okay grappling. But I mean, you look at his wins. It's like Muhammad Usman, and it's just such low level guys. And on top of that, he went through adversity in those fights. He went through adversity. He got taken down by Muhammad Usman. I have a really hard time getting to him this week. I know he's 10-0. I know he's a relatively good fighter. I know he trains with Tom Aspinall. Dude, Marcin Tybura is a veteran of the UFC. Has some serious wins. He's got wins over guys that are, you know, Sergey Spivak, he's got to win. He's got wins over Tai Tuivasa. Take that with what you want. Janata Deniz, I think this is going to be another Janata Deniz situation. McParkin's going to want this fight to stay on the feet, and he won't be able to stop the takedowns of Marcin Tybura. And once Tabora gets it to the ground, I think that's probably going to be a wrap. He's going to find some sort of ground and pound finish. So give me Marcin Tabora, and if he gets to dog odds, I mean it's a good parlay piece. Even at minus 140, it's not bad. But if there's going to be a lot of people parking this week, so I imagine that line's going to keep getting smaller and smaller. And if not hit even money, it could potentially hit dog odds. So the pick Team Tabora for me. You're going to see a lot of people on the Mick Parkin side, though. Don't be surprised if he loses this one. Loner Kavanaugh versus Felipe Dos Santos. So a little bit of overhype on the Felipe Dos Santos side, in my opinion. His one win in the UFC is to a very low level guy. And then he's got a loss to Manel Kopp, which that's fine. It's Manel Kopp. But then he's got a loss to oh man, he just fought last week. Let's go into this and look at it. It'll come to me. I know it will, but so let's take a look at this. So he's got a loss to Andre Lima. That's his name. He just fought last week. Victor Altamirano was a split decision, which really I kind of feel like he lost that fight, not Victor. Felipe Dos Santos. I feel like he lost that fight. He got taken down 9 times in that fight, 9 times, and he won by split decision. I feel like the fight should have gone the other way. And then of course the Manel Cop lost. Andre Lima lost, and now he's going up against a kid in Loner Kavanaugh. I definitely hate how it does this. Gonna have to research here. Um, Bear with me here. Always count on Tapology. Sorry, folks. Um, let's keep going though. Felipe Dos Santos, Loner Kavanaugh. I think, like I said before, Felipe Dos Santos is very hyped, if you will. Oh my gosh, I should not have gone into that. There we go. Here we go. We're getting back to it. Sorry for the intermission there. Okay, back on track. I can think straight. Felipe Dos Santos, overrated. That's the third time I've said that. Loner Kavanaugh, he's a huge favorite, minus 400. I think it's definitely overpriced on the Loner Kavanaugh side, but dude, this kid's good. He's got some serious striking. He's got really good reads and really good timing. His takedown defense is getting better, and his offensive wrestling is getting better. I think he'll be able to outstrike Felipe Dos Santos. And honestly, and I hate to say he'd find a finish. The KO is live. That's probably a better way to put it for Loner Kavanaugh. But I see him winning this. He's probably gonna outpoint him. He's gonna outstrike him. He's gonna be faster than him. He's gonna be have the more power. And I think he'll be able to stuff any takedowns that Felipe Dos Santos brings his way. Loner Kavanagh is going to be the side here. I do not love it at minus 400 though. The value is absolutely on Felipe Dos Santos without a doubt. But there you have it. That's my pick. Loner Kavanagh. Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla is being talked about a lot this week. But I know he's got some wrestling. I know he's got some grappling. But I just don't think he's that good. Jai Herbert, you take a look at his losses, and it's to elite guys. It's to Ilya Topuria, right? It's to some elite guys. Um, it's to this one's a long time ago, but he got knocked out in the third round. It's spacing me. Hang tight. Let me pull it up. I just want to make a point of this, of who Jai Herbert is losing to. Trinaldo. So he got knocked out in his debut by Francisco Trinaldo. Then he lost to Renato Moicano, who is a phenomenal grappler and just fought for the belt. He then loses to Ilya Topuria, who is elite. He loses to Ludovic Klein, which it went to a split decision or a majority decision, I guess. Um, and Ludovic Klein looks good, so that's a good loss. And then Faraz Ziam, who is tearing through the UFC lightweight division right now, I just really think that Jai Herbert is gonna pull through in this one. He's got some elite striking, really good takedown defense, and Chris Padilla is just an average dude. I mean, he's a good fighter. I wouldn't call him elite. I would call him a step below Jai Herbert. His striking won't be as good, and he's going to probably want to grapple, but I think Jai Herbert's going to be able to stuff those takedowns. I really do. So give me Jai Herbert, maybe by KO, probably by decision, but I think he's going to outpoint Chris Padilla in this fight, and he's going to find the win. Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan Charrier. A lot of hype around Charrier for good reason. The dude's good. He's got some really good timing, really good striking. Nathaniel Wood, what I would consider a veteran at this point. He's got some, a lot of fights. Um, he's a slight underdog. Morgan Charrier is a slight favorite, which that's a larger favorite than slight favorite in my opinion, which is warranted. I think, maybe price him at minus 160 would probably be a little closer. I think Nathaniel Wood could have some success in this fight. He's not going to be as good on the striking. Morgan Charrier is just one of those France dudes that's really got really good kickboxing. He's a little different than William Gomi and Cyril Gahn, all those guys. He's a little different. He's a little more active. That's crazy. He's got 31 fights. That is crazy. Anyway, I think he's going to be able to outstrike Nathaniel Wood here. And here's why I really lean the Morgan Charrier side is because, well, yes, Nathaniel Wood is probably going to shoot takedowns, and he's probably going to get some takedowns. The difference is Morgan Charrier is going to bounce right back up. He's going to find a way back to his feet. He's really good at that. And we saw that in the Chepe Mariscal fight, which he debatably won. He would get taken down and he would bounce back to his feet. It may not be right after he gets taken down, but he climbs his way to the fence, gets his back up against the fence, gets back to his feet, pummels out. He's able to get away. So I think that's going to be the real difference here. Is Nathaniel Wood may get a takedown or two, but Morgan Charrier is going to get back up to his feet. And then what for Nathaniel Wood? He does have some good boxing, but he's not going to be able to outstrike Morgan Charrier, in my opinion. So he'll be the pick for me, probably by decision. I'd love to look at the over 2.5 or even fight to go the distance line on this fight. Could be something that I'm eyeing. But the last pirate is who I'm going to take for the pick here. Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. I think Chris Duncan is being overlooked a little bit this week as a plus, nearly 300 underdog. That's kind of some major disrespect to him. I understand that Vucenic is good and he has wins, controversial, but wins over good guys like Paul Hughes. If you don't know who Paul Hughes is, go watch him in the PFL. He's got a win over AJ McKee, which AJ McKee is a phenomenal fighter, and he arguably won against Usman Nurmagomedov. Um, I mean, yes, Jordan Vucenic is the side here. He's good, but a minus 345 for him is just not quite warranted. Chris Duncan has this way of pulling out the win, just finding some crazy way to win, like his last fight in Blachioki. he choked him out with the guillotine, which Chris Duncan probably would have got knocked out in that fight if Blagioki opted to keep it on the feet because he was stuffing the takedowns of Chris Duncan and then shot his own takedown, and Chris Duncan found the guillotine and choked him unconscious. Um, I think Jordan Vucenic is going to have real success though striking, and if he can stuff the takedowns of Chris Duncan, he'll be in good shape for sure. He will be in good shape. So yeah, I guess for that reason, Jordan Vucenic is going to be the side, but if Chris Duncan could get to the legs, find takedowns, he could pull out a win here. So at plus 275, he may be another Roxy's rock solid pick of the week this week. And if you don't know what that is, by the way, it's on my Instagram. I got a hedgehog. Her name's Roxy. We do at least last week was the first week that I've been doing Roxy's underdog picks. We call it Roxy's rock solid pick of the week. Last week was Kurt Hollabaugh. She unfortunately lost that one. Kurt Hollabaugh arguably won, but did lose on scorecards. So we're 0-1 with Roxy's rock solid picks, but it's only going to be underdogs. Every week it's only going to be underdogs. So anyway, Chris Duncan at plus 275. Honestly, maybe parlay Andre Pulayev money line and Chris Duncan money line. I don't hate that. Your odds are going to be insane. Not a bad idea for sure. So, but the pick will be Jordan Vucenic. Molly McCann versus Alexia Thanara. This chick's pretty good, to be honest with you. Molly McCann, big, well, 150. I could have sworn she was a bigger underdog than that. Um, Underdog here, rightfully so. This Alexia chick's pretty good. It's her UFC debut. Um, she a lot of people know her for her striking, but like seven of her wins come by way of submission, which it's arm bars, it's rear naked chokes, it's triangle arm bars. She's good. She's good on the ground. She's a grappler, and as we all know, Molly McCann, she's had some serious trouble with grapplers. Um, Meatball's getting up there too, 34 years of age. I could have sworn she was older than that too. That's crazy. 34 years of age is pretty old, where Alexia is only 27 years old. I think Alexia is going to be the sharper fighter, probably the better striker as well. If Molly can make it dirty, she could, she makes it dirty and finds some spinning elbows, spinning back fists, those kinds of things. She could find success there. The way that I could see this fight playing out is Molly McCann is so loved. She's so loved by the fans that every time she lands a strike, the crowd's going to go crazy. Even if it's not a crazy strike or a big strike, the crowd will go crazy though, especially when she spins and does her crazy stuff. The crowds are going to go crazy, and that's going to play a factor with the judges for sure. So if it goes to a decision, I'm definitely nervous if I'm a Molly McCann ticket holder, but I don't think it's going to get there. And again, here's why: is I think Alexia is going to take her down. She's going to get to the back. She's going to find a rear naked choke. I really think that. So I would definitely, and I will be looking at the Alexia Thanara submission prop. I think that's very live to hit here. I really do. Um, I think she's gonna want takedowns. I don't see why she wouldn't. It's the path to victory for her. So don't be surprised if she comes in, shoots takedown, and submits Molly in the first or second. To be honest with you, I'll definitely be looking at that line, seeing where that is. If it's plus money, I'll probably be putting some money on it. Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson, and Alexia's the pick. In case you didn't get that, Kevin Holland, man, what a loser. Really, really have lost respect for Kevin Holland. Um, I hear things and listening to other people's podcasts, I hear that Kevin Holland is not a good dude. Uh, in particular, the MMA fortune teller. If you listen to him, he has some pretty harsh words to say about Kevin Holland, and I believe him, especially from the videos we see. Of fans wanting to get a picture, and he turns them down or screams at him for touching his butt or whatever happened. He's just not a very good dude, and the way we saw him treat Rampage Jackson was just horrible, man. He's just not super nice. He is 1-4 in his last five, so really has gone downhill. He just doesn't give it all to the game. I know he's fighting a lot and it's awesome. He's probably getting some serious money. He just uh doesn't give the fight game his all. And Gunnar Nelson, on the other hand, some red flags with him for sure. He has been off for 2 years. His last fight was against Brian Barberina, which he submitted him. Um, he's a one-trick pony. He's basically a grappler at heart and a grappler only. There's two ways that this is going to play out. I think it's going to be Kevin Holland by KO early, or it's going to be Gunnar Nelson by submission. And if Kevin Holland doesn't take advantage and really put the pressure on early and knock out Gunnar Nelson, Gunnar will find a takedown, and he only needs one. He's good enough on the ground. He only needs one takedown. And once he has it, I think he submits Kevin Holland. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna go with the Gunnar Nelson side, and just because I can't trust Kevin Holland anymore. The dude is, oh, he's just hard to watch anymore. He's hard to pick, and maybe he's due for a win, but I just have a hard time seeing it. I love that he's at welterweight though. That's where he should be. This is going to be a welterweight bout. It's where he should be. Uh, but with that said, man, Gunnar Nelson is probably going to find the takedown and going to be able to submit Kevin Holland. So he'll be my pick. Uh, and if you're going to play Gunnar Nelson, play him by submission. On the other side, if you're going to play Kevin Holland, play him by knockout. They're both going to be plus money props. Moving on, the kill main event: Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. This one honestly seems pretty straightforward and simple to me. Jan Blachowicz is coming off a 2-year layoff where he lost to Alex Pereira 2 years ago. He's 42 years old. He's an old guy, man. 42 years old is old. Um, and he's coming off a 2-year layoff with shoulder surgery. Major red flag. Carlos Ulberg, on the other hand, has stayed active. He just beat Volkan Oezdemir, which I thought he won pretty handily. Outstruck him, defended takedowns. He looked really good. Um, I just think this is pretty clear cut, black and white. I think it's Carlos Ulberg. I don't think he knocks out Jan Blachowicz just because Jan Blachowicz has only been knocked out, I believe, once in his career, and it was Thiago Santos who has some serious power, which Carlos Ulberg has serious power. But I think Jan Blachowicz will be able to eat the punches. Don't think he's going to be able to get takedowns. I think Carlos Ulberg will be the better fighter, the cleaner striker. Um, and I think he'll be able to, if he does get taken down, I think he'll be able to get up. I think he'll be able to be stronger in the clinch than Jan Blachowicz is. I mean, these city kickboxing guys are really good in the clinch. They're really good at defending takedowns. I just think that's where Carlos Ulberg is going to win this fight is defending the takedowns and then just putting on a masterclass with striking. So give me Carlos Ulberg by decision and maybe by knockout. Just have Jan Blachowicz has a pretty good chin. So give me Carlos Ulberg by decision for sure. So he's the pick for me. Main event time: Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. This is a really good fight. This is a really good fight. I have some pretty strong words though. Maybe not strong words, but a pretty uh strong opinion towards Leon Edwards. Like, dude, he came out, I don't know, this week or last week, and it's making all these excuses for losing to Bilal. Oh, I was fighting at 5 in the morning and I didn't feel like myself and all these things. And it's like, okay, dude, cry me a river. Bilal Muhammad fought at 5 in the morning too, and he beat your A. He put he beat you handily. He took you down what, 7 times, 8 times, basically outboxed you, dumped you on your head. He looked phenomenal at 5 in the morning. Why couldn't you look phenomenal at 5 in the morning? So and a part of this is coming from Luke Thomas. I listened to Luke Thomas a little bit about this, and I totally agree with him. Sean Brady is a very similar fighter to Bilal Muhammad. He puts a high pace, has good boxing, really wrestling heavy. So, Leon, this is a fight against the same guy that you just lost to in Sean Brady or in Bilal Muhammad, who Sean Brady is very similar to. It's at a good time. It's going to be what, afternoon, evening for you when you fight. So when you come out and when you lose this fight, what are your excuses after this? What's going to be your excuses after this fight? Because I think you lose. I think Sean Brady is. I think Sean Brady. Don't get me wrong, Leon Edwards is a tough task for Sean Brady, but I think Sean Brady's pace is going to be too much for Leon. I think his wrestling heavy attack is going to be too much for Leon. Sean Brady is a master. He is a master at clinch game. Master. He's so good at cage control and clinch game. And then on top of that, his wrestling's phenomenal. And then last thing to kind of tip the cap is Sean Brady is really good at jujitsu. Really good. He's way better than Bilal Muhammad in jujitsu. So if he does get this to the ground, Leon could be in some trouble. Tough task for both guys for sure. I think the odds are spot on, minus 150 for Sean Brady and plus 125 for Leon Edwards. I think it's spot on for sure. But give me Sean Brady for the win on this one. He's gonna come in with a very wrestling heavy attack. And honestly, we're going to see how his striking holds up. I think he's shown really good improvements in his striking. It's hard to show that against Gilbert Burns in his last fight. Uh, but I do think he comes in here with really good striking. He's going to show off his striking. He's going to use his striking to set up the takedowns. Once he gets it to the ground, it's going to be his world for sure. So give me Sean Brady, and I don't hate him as a even a straight bet at minus 150. It's a little chalky, but not bad at all. But there you have it. There's the UFC fight night. What is it? 255 to something 255. The O2 Arena breakdown. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Stay tuned on my Instagram. Roxy's Rock Solid Picks is going to be coming out here in a minute, as well as the ladder challenge is going to be coming out. And if I don't end up placing a ladder challenge bet, I will update you and let you know if we pass on this week. But really looking forward to this card. It's a great fight night. It's a great card. Always love the O2 Arena and the London crowd. They're always just crazy loud. But yeah, once again, like, subscribe, share, follow me on Instagram. We'll see you next week.